Good evening, everyone. This is the Town of Sheldon Selectboard Water Commissioner meeting for Monday, February 10th of 2025. Under new business, we have a Highway Department report and go over mailbox policy. We got the 2024 grand list certificate of no appeal or pending suit. Got the town administrator's report. We need to sign warrant 2505 and warrant 2506. We need to approve the January 27th regular meeting minutes. Got some excess weight permits from Jack Corse and Company and Newport Sand and Gravel, Carroll Concrete Company, Goslin Water Wells, RG Goslin and Company, and David R. Kuchar Trucking. Under old business, we have ethics, investigation, enforcement ordinance, and personnel policy. Is there anything else we need to add to the?
I don't think so.
All right. We'll jump right into the highway department here. Keeping you busy this winter?
Yep. Everything's going smooth.
That's good.
Trucks are all running good. Once in a while they'll go into regen mode and you have to let them do this thing, but
Yeah.
other than that, they're
Just pull over side of the road and just let
Yeah.
it burn off.
Or not even that. Usually you can keep going, but they'll do it. You know, you don't want to shut it off while it's in regen mode.
Yeah.
Back would be the same thing this morning, but I just left it running and it was all set by the time I got back. I forgot to mention last time we ran those generators at the water, the gas generators,
Yeah.
propane, and we'll do them again here once it warms up or something one of these days. And
Fired up on there.
generator at the school, Matt had scheduled we probably could have tackled it if it was the summer and we didn't have anything else going on, but there was a coolant leak. Like one of the hoses was either off or needed to be replaced. I don't think it was too big of a deal and topped off and they changed oil as well, so it should be good for a while. It only has like 134 80 hours on it, low hours. So I ordered 3 loads of salt today. I asked the gentleman on the phone what we were up to as far as tons, but he didn't know right off the top of his head, and he was kind of busy and he said he could get back to me, but I never heard back from him, so that'll be up to. I know last year we were under because it was kind of a short winter, but I don't know if it might be pushing it already. It was like 500 tons and
Yeah, you can't stop something sanding and salting them.
Yeah.
So.
The sand pile has some pretty good sized chunks in it. Probably the worst winter I've ever seen for a long time. There's like 4 feet thick, the size of like a dump truck body. Like you can hardly move them. It's been tough. But we have a big pile going off to the side there, and we've been using the Grizzly or sand screen to run through, and it works pretty good.
Yeah.
I have to do some welding on it probably tomorrow. There's one of the braces there. It's broke off, but it's not a big deal really, but should be able to get to it tomorrow. Gotta change the cutter gauge on the 2021 on the wing. It's just a few hour job. We passed our pesticides course. All of us did, so yeah.
Ready to go.
Yeah, and I don't know, it's like $30 a piece, a piece for each one of us to be signed up with the city.
Yeah, but it's good for 3 years. So.
Yeah. And Matt did his online training for his flagger course, so all 3 of us are flaggers. And we did some online training, grader training and whatnot. And I think there's still another 1 or 2 to do. When we have a minute there, we'll get in front of back in The 12th, which is Wednesday, is Hunter's sewer test in Burlington, so he'll be gone for the day.
Yeah.
What day was that?
Wednesday, the
Oh,
12th.
yeah.
They got canceled for snowstorm last time,
Okay, yeah.
and of course it was snowing around here on Burlington, but hopefully it'll be all right before we get the snow for Thursday.
I was gonna say, we're gonna get snow again Thursday.
Yeah. I don't know, we've just been washing and greasing the trucks, and after that, the day's pretty much done.
Yeah.
There's a nice snowpack on the roads now.
Yeah?
We haven't had to fill any potholes lately. Compared to last year, there was like 4 or 5 mud seasons, I think.
Yeah.
We went through a ton of stone, just chasing potholes and. By the looks of it, it's gonna hold out for a little while longer.
Yeah.
You got big chunks of sand, but you got plenty of sand underneath?
Yes.
Underneath?
Yes, yeah, you gotta dig for it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. It'll thaw out eventually.
Yeah.
I've seen some towns, some, they don't have a lot of sand.
But yeah, we're actually probably back to almost where we started hauling in the summer. If you were to, minus the 30 loads of chunks we have on the side,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We've been using the brine on the colder days. It seems to work pretty good. Mixed a little bit in with some salt. I think we've been through 1,500 gallons of that.
So let me see, you got something?
Yeah, there's a, here, I don't know if you want to show you those there.
Yeah, there was a used zero turn, and there were some loaders that Matt found. That's not a bad deal. That's the same one we have.
It is.
Yeah. I mean, that new was like 8,500.
Hmm.
So it's like half price.
Yeah.
I don't know if we should jump on it sooner than later before the people start thinking about spring,
Is that the same thing you got?
Yeah, I'd say go with the same size deck because mowing the cemeteries, it's not gonna be an advantage with a bit larger deck.
137 hours. How many hours of the one we got?
There's like,
Yeah.
yeah, last I looked at it, it was like, almost 500.
Oh, well, this will be like a new one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. More or less,
And it's just like this one.
Yes.
yeah.
So you know everything about it.
Yeah, it's pretty simple.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. The diesel mowers, they don't start the decks until 60. So,
It'd be nice to have diesel, but
Yeah.
that'd be too big to go to
maybe
the
the
cemetery.
ball field and, maybe like the water house, that'd be your only advantage.
Yeah.
And that's just a printout of more, right size wheel borders in Vermont, New Hampshire, New York, mostly. I'm sure there's other places to find them, but just kind of let you know what the situation is out there if we were.
Well, I don't know if you're comfortable with that. Used one would probably be.
Yeah, I mean, I quoted basically the same model, the same size deck, and it was like 8,500.
Yeah, I saw the quote for that. So, half the money, probably ought to double think it.
I assume they'll stand behind it for a period of time, even though it's used, per se?
Yeah.
I mean, it's only 137 hours.
Yeah, I'd say there's some warranty with that company.
Might be.
Yeah, but we could certainly talk to them about it, yeah.
Well, if it's
Yeah.
$4,000 less, can't be that,
Right.
have you put $4,000 into the other one?
Probably not, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
They put new, it says they cut a new belt on it.
Yeah, new spindles or.
Which is kind of weird because we've never changed ours yet, you know?
Well, that's, you know, in a way, it makes you think twice as well, though.
Yeah, I mean.
I mean, what else happened, or what happened to it, why is it
Yeah.
sold at
Yeah,
130?
exactly, yeah.
But,
Certainly we can go talk.
It
to
is
them.
about it.
Story on there. Anyway,
So they got plenty of salt.
Yeah, they're still better. We're not the only ones with small salt sheds, so they truck it
Yeah.
every day.
Gives them all something to do.
um,
37,000, very big order.
Well,
How big a order do you think the town?
I'm thinking like a 2-yard bucket, 150 horse. 2.25. The back of bucket is a yard and a half, I believe, or a yard 27.5 or something.
those are kind of in a range between 100, like 110 and 180 horses, all those, but they all have the right size, a big enough bucket.
Think it'll stick with the John Deere.
Yeah, so their service is.
I think there's more options for John Deere's. I mean, you look, generally speaking, for a Caterpillar, you're gonna pay more, or you're gonna get it older, more used or whatever, and there's more, looks like there's more options for John Deere's in pretty, and a lot of them in pretty good shape and not too old, so.
I wonder if they are. 3,500 hours, they want 37,000. How big is that? That's not a lot of hours.
No, not for a loader.
Was that one in Newport?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, well,
Older loader.
the advertising on that said it came out of it's been in a gravel pit, so it hasn't been used in the snow very much, I guess. But,
That's not a lot of money, 3,500 hours. And it's 1998, so that means it doesn't have a brain.
that's a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't have a lot of wiring in it.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
No, can't be. I mean, other than the parts being expensive for a deer,
No, this is a case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they're bulletproof.
The case, well, you know, it's not very far to a case dealer either. Deer, they're all in Colchester. Almost, whatever. It's interesting. Food for thought. Nobody in there, it's not very far.
So what, this mailbox policy?
Yeah, I was, so I think somewhere in there, I printed some policies from other towns, but I could kind of, this has been coming up pretty regularly here, where
I thought you guys weren't gonna hit me.
yeah, well,
You mean they're going down, is that what's going on?
we've,
That's gonna happen.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it happens. We
Yeah.
just had a lot of snow, and some of them, it's been I think some of them, yeah, we ran into the mailbox. Some of them, you know, snow hit the mailbox and knocked it over.
Fire department a couple weeks, or a month or so ago, ran over one.
Right, and then other ones, we ran into it because you put it in the road, sometimes, so, I was just looking around, just discussing it with the crew and just looking at what other towns have for a policy. In general, some towns don't do, like Swanton, for example, I don't think they do anything, they don't replace mailboxes.
Just
But-
run over them.
Right. Other towns, you know, if you're in compliance with the postal regulations, they post those on, you know, their website or whatever, and you know, as long as you put your mailbox in the appropriate place, and then if we strike it with the plow, their policy as a town is that they'll replace it. Some of the towns will only, you know, they'll replace it with a standard mailbox and standard post, and that's it. And then some towns have a policy where if you wanna, you know, put your own put the mailbox up and we hit it, we will reimburse you up to a certain amount of money. And then other towns have, you know, different, anyway, those are sort of some of the ones that I see there. I printed a few different ones, but in most cases, you know, if snow comes off the plow and knocks your mailbox over because it's, you know, not very sturdy, that's not the town's not gonna fix that. And in some cases, they make it so that you have to complain within a certain amount of time. You can't, you know, within 2 days, you call us immediately, you know, within 2 days, and then the foreman can come out and evaluate the situation and make a judgment on whether the town will or will not, you know, do something. So I just we have replaced a couple of mailboxes this year. Again, some of them I think that we replaced were more, I don't think that they were necessarily put in correctly to begin with.
Yeah.
And then others that we've hit, yeah, that was our fault. So, and we have replaced some, but I'd just like to have a little bit more guidance in terms of a consistent policy that we should have, and then we can let people know what it is, what we're gonna do.
So I don't believe the postal service has a setback or whatever off the road.
I think
They have a height.
somewhere in there I should have.
Yeah, they have something.
I think it's supposed to be, if there's a curb, it's supposed to be 8 inches back from the front of the curb or from the edge of the pavement.
Okay,
I think that's the idea. So the front of your box should be at least 8 inches off the pavement.
okay, so,
And then in terms of, it's supposed to be a certain height, like
Yep,
44
I knew the height
inches,
stuff.
and then sometimes they show it so that the post
8
is,
inches there, 8 inches from the edge of the pavement.
so on dirt roads, I mean, kinda sometimes it's hard to figure out where the road starts or ends
yeah,
because of whatever.
yeah.
So, I mean,
That's a good.
Most of the ones you've seen, have they been hit by the plow or hit by the snow?
Mostly snow, but there's been a few clipped, you know.
Yeah.
So, we happen to have one fellow who came in today that I think the plow hit his mailbox, but it kind of ripped the door off of it. But he wanted to replace it with an oversized box. And he was wondering if the town would, if he got a box, would the town reimburse him? And I asked Kim if we've ever done that, and she said she didn't think so. So I didn't know what we wanted to do in that situation.
I think the simpler thing to do would be to come up with a price of a standard mailbox, and if they want a bigger mailbox, that's all we're covering is
Right. Okay.
X, Y, and Z, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Yep.
So on the other hand, though, if they have a bigger mailbox and the bigger mailbox gets taken out, are we taking care of replacing it with a bigger mailbox?
Yeah, that's a good question too. Because we've had a couple of those where people have a metal box or a
Mm-hmm.
Because they're not cheap anymore.
No.
Not at all.
No.
exactly.
I would say the bigger boxes themselves are $50 or
Oh,
something.
yeah, yep.
So I mean that's why I think some of these towns go with it.
Yeah, like this Danville one that says in the event of a damaged mailbox, does meet the above criteria and is in the opinion of the highway foreman. The highway department will make necessary repairs. A basic metal standard size mailbox will be provided, or cost equivalent of mailbox and a 6 foot 4x4 post.
Yeah. So you guys don't necessarily have to adopt the policy. I don't have anything written out for you, but I just kind of wanted to know what sort of guidelines we should do, and then I can write something up for the next meeting.
There's 100.
Yeah, that Danville policy. That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah, because it states right in here,
I ain't no hours on
And if a decorative mailbox and or post is already used and are damaged, it'll be replaced with a standard mailbox and post as stated above, no exceptions.
it.
That's not a bad deal. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Go up and check it out sometime.
good.
that's not, you know, if the hours are true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I just looked it up on
Yeah.
the, well, on the web there.
So you're saying it's a 3-year bucket on it?
Heaped up,
Yeah.
2 yard struck level.
Yeah.
When, you know, 130, 140, 50 horse, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not, I mean, I don't know how well it's been maintained.
Mm-hmm.
That's not very many hours.
No.
Maybe it's 13,000 hours. Maybe they can't see the.
Well, for that year, I think it should be 13,000.
Right, every other one that's in there, every other one that you're showing there is all,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
that's the closest one, you know,
Mm-hmm.
they're still there. We call them up. The newborn.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, unfortunately, most of the other places are, you know, more like Albany or kind of New Hampshire. So,
Right
Yeah.
over there, Steve. Stop in the tavern.
yeah.
That's a nice place.
Yeah, stop into the tavern there. and Check that out and stop at the tavern for lunch. Anyway,
Okay.
that's what the, you know, it's just interesting
Mm-hmm.
mailboxes. And it comes and goes.
Yeah. Won't be long, we won't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I think we should have some sort of policy that
Yeah.
everybody's treated.
Just have a standard,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
pay for a standard amount.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I will write something up for you for next time.
Of course, there's so many damn mailboxes, we got the plastic ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of those plastic ones belong in like South Carolina. You know, they don't belong around here anyway. They get sun faded out and they get brittle.
Well, like I said, if you wanna replace mailboxes, just go down and get a standard mailbox.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is.
We have.
What do we have?
Yeah, we have.
We do. Have all the boards all specially cut for them too, ready to go.
Yeah, we have a. That's the other thing, you know. You never have what you need. So you gotta go back here twice.
You should have,
Yeah,
should have the mailboxes all ready to go.
yeah, on post.
Go over the backhoe, pull the post up, set it on.
Mm-hmm.
Big milk cans with rocks in them
Yeah,
and they're hard to put back up in the winter when you break the posts
I
off.
know.
Mm-hmm.
I'll set you up with some
Usually it doesn't
15
happen.
gallon, set you up with some 15-gallon plastic jugs.
Right.
Huh?
It's usually just the box, or we haven't ever changed too many posts.
No, yeah, we need some 15-gallon.
Yeah, that'd work.
Soap
Yeah.
jugs there.
Yeah.
So-
Well, we might need a couple with those stop signs we've had there. Now.
Yeah.
We had a couple of the stop sign on Daniel Road got smashed, and right here on Crow Hill Road too. So we've, when the ground's too frozen to pound a post in, you might need a 15-gallon jug or something.
Yeah. Stop signs broke down.
Which end of the dam?
Which
The
one?
trailer truck, there
Oh,
was the
getting in for
the
the
solar
solar
panel
panels.
project. They took that one out, and Steve Winkler took the other one out at end of Crow Hill, totaled his Ford out.
Ran right over
Friday
the
night.
post and everything.
He's a tractor trailer driver, right?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
A tractor came down.
No, Steve Winkler's a tractor trailer driver.
He drives for valleys.
Oh. So bad. Huh.
But we're close enough to town, we just pushed it in with the backhoe bucket,
Yeah.
put a new one in.
Yep.
That's about it.
Some big
In a
frozen sand pile, or frozen blocks in a sand pile and broken mailboxes. I'm not surprised. But
We've had overtime in pretty much, we came in early pretty much every day for the last 2 weeks, but last Thursday, in which we stayed late because there was an afternoon storm.
yeah,
It's either blowing snow or snow.
Yeah.
the roads aren't too rough yet, are they?
No, they're, like I said, they have a nice snowpack, so it's,
Yeah.
it's good going right now.
I don't. 108's got a few frost heaves in it. I just wondered if.
Yeah, I mean, there's, you can just see them kind of
Is that-
starting to do weird, funky things, but
Bad idea.
Everybody made it through the long hours. Nobody was getting too grumpy.
yeah.
I saw. What's his name at the store this morning?
Yeah. Hunter.
Hunter, yeah. Must be just down sewer plant.
Yeah. Yeah, we usually split up the 1-ton plow and plow out the parking lots and the dry hydrants and water and sewer.
All right. So
Sounds good.
get everything going. Okay, check on that.
Thank you.
Until next time. Yep. Have a good night.
Yep.
Thanks.
You can keep those if you want. Okay.
All right. What's a certificate? No appeal or suit pending?
I think it's basically just a
Say that he's done and.
yeah. I think it's basically just a thing to cap off the 2024 grand list. It's the last thing to do before the last year's grand list gets put to bed. I think it's just to certify that there's no action against the town currently. So I think he would like you to have a motion on this and sign it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So moved.
All right. A second on that?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Yep.
Opposed? Paperwork. Sign, get that over with.
Excuse me.
Need a stamp for them.
You wanna, what do you call that? Auto pen?
Alright, I'll read the minutes from the previous meeting. Select Board Water Commissioner meeting held here January 27th of 2025. In attendance from the Select Board was Stephen Dodd, Seth Hunterford, Nick Norris, Chris Stebbins. Others here were Raymond Bushy from Sheldon Fire Department, Jane Wanza, Jasmine Medina from Northwest TV, and Matt Stebbins, the town administrator. 7:40, I called the meeting to order and read the agenda. Additions were put in for the Historical Society baseline document and correction of the town highway mileage certificate. 7:42, Gene Wanza addressed the board as an interested candidate for town clerk. 7:46, Raymond Bushy discussed the anticipated delivery of the new fire truck this year and the fire department's proposal to finance this acquisition through a lease purchase agreement. 8:06, the select board took up a correction of the town highway mileage certificate. I read the letter from V-Trans explaining that the cul-de-sac on Cedar Drive is not currently included. The change to be added to the certificate approved at the last meeting to add 0.03 miles on Class 3 Town Highway 49, which is Cedar Drive, remeasured to include entire cul-de-sac. 8:09, Greg made a motion, seconded by Nick, to approve the above change to the annual town highway mileage certificate, and motion carried. 8:10, the board signed warrants 2503 and 2504 and excess weight fleet permits for Bourne's Energy and Stewart's shops. 8:11, I read the minutes from the January 13th meeting. Seth made the motion and Nick seconded it to approve the minutes as read, and the motion carried. 8:37, Matt gave the town administrator's report. R.H. Smith and Company visited the town office on January 14th and completed the annual financial audit. An audit report will be published in the annual town report. Matt and Hubert Spalding met with Robert Clark of Otter Creek Engineering concerning the proposed Mill Street sewer rehabilitation. Additional survey work needs to be done and a state wastewater permit may be needed if the sewer line is relocated more than a certain distance. It is expected that a bid proposal could go out within 3 months and construction could begin in late summer or fall of this year. The highway crew completed training for pesticide application and the town has paid the fine incurred last year. Generator at the school was repaired and serviced by Reliant Electric. Northwest Regional Planning will be giving a presentation on Act 171 to the Select Board and Planning Commission soon. 8:48, read the proposed warning for the 2025 annual town meeting. The board discussed the not to exceed amount in the proposed salt shed article. The board also discussed the proposed articles concerning the appointment rather than election of certain officers. 9:12, Nick made the motion, seconded by Seth, to approve the warning as written with the dollar amounts for the salt shed and the budget to be added, and the motion carried. 9:14, the board took up the municipal code of ethics compliance. Under the new state law, towns are required to adopt processes for investigation and enforcement of complaints against municipal officers, municipal officials. Designate officials to receive complaints and act as liaison with the State Ethics Commission and ensure that certain officers receive annual training. VLCT recommends investigation and enforcement processes be adopted by ordinance and has issued model language. Matt suggested that the select board be designated complaint recipient and the town administrator be designated as liaison to the Ethics Commission. 9:21, Nick made a motion, seconded by Greg, that the select board be designated to receive ethics complaints and the town administrator be designated as the town's liaison to the State Ethics Commission. The motion carried with all in favor. 9:22, the board took up approval of the 2025 municipal budget. The figure for tax mapping was adjusted to $10,750 based on an estimate that Matt received for updating the physical tax maps and statewide database over a 2-year cycle. 9:40, Greg made the motion, seconded by Seth, to approve the proposed 2025 budget of $1,801,627 with $1,458,631 to be raised by taxes. Motion carried with all in favor. 9:41, without objection, Steve signed the certificate of a baseline documentation for the Historical Society building. 9:48, board took up the proposed memorandum of understanding with the Northern Mountain Valley School Board regarding conveyance of the 11-acre school property. Seth made the motion, seconded by Greg, to adopt the memorandum, and the motion carried. I signed the memorandum on behalf of the board, which will be printed in the annual report. 9:54, Seth made a motion, seconded by Nick, to adjourn the meeting, and the motion carried. Next regular meeting is February 10th at 7:30 p.m. I'll take a motion to accept these minutes as read.
Yep, I'll make it.
And a second.
Yep.
And all in favor? Oh.
No.
You wanna give your report?
Sure,
Matt,
yep,
while we're
okay.
here?
Yep, so, as, well, I'm just going through some things we already talked about. As I said, I've done a little bit of, looking at wheel loaders that are available. Like I said, hopefully, Seth will, or perhaps yourselves will have a chance to go look at some, maybe look at a couple in the area. A couple of upcoming things just that I think I will try to have ready for our next meeting, or if not, the first meeting in March would be, I'd like to have a roadside mowing proposal out earlier this year. And we will need to apply for our pesticide permit at the same time, so we'll be working on that. Couple of, so I had on the issue of the Fairfield Swanton water line, I had The last time we had met with the landowners and the people of the Swanton Village, I had said I would reach out to VLCT and figure out what would potentially be available to the town if either the town was involved or if a fire district was created. So I have written an email to Swanton Village and the people and the farmers involved, interested in that, and as well as the agricultural department people involved. The gist of my conversation with VLCT was that they were not in favor of the town doing that because given the age and remoteness of the infrastructure and its proximity to vital infrastructure, and the fact that that would all be known at the time that you require it, liability insurance would be available, but it would be very limited in terms of what it would cover. It would probably be focused on covering our customers, but potential customers, and because if there was a break in the line, it would be disrupting service to them. So that would probably be the first thing it would cover. It might cover some damage, some property damage, but in the catastrophic situation, it probably would not be able to make people whole. So, and it certainly wouldn't be covering, any replacement costs of working on that line. So, and I talked to them also about what it takes to create a fire district. By the law, it would take 20 freeholders in the proposed fire district to petition this select board to create that district. And if the fire district were created, then it could vote a tax upon the taxable estate of the people in that district to maintain the waterworks. But I don't think that's likely to happen, just because I don't think there's that many people who could benefit from that line, or who would necessarily want to sign up for, to take on the liability themselves. But anyway, so I said to them, given the information, I reiterate it's highly unlikely that the town will be taking action to acquire the water line. The town faces challenges planning for its current water and sewer systems and taking on additional infrastructure with large imminent replacement costs and a limited customer base is not a sound investment. I said I think it's unlikely a fire district could be formed, but that is an option. I said the town encourages the private parties involved to continue exploring a cooperative solution, as they would see the largest benefit from the continued operations of the water line and would be best situated to deal with potential repairs and improvements necessary to mitigate the liability risks. That is one thing VLCT said, is that if somebody put the investment in to replace the infrastructure, then it would become much more, insurance would be easier, but obviously that's a big upfront expense. And I said the town continues to value the additional fire protection provided by the line, and might be willing to negotiate appropriate compensation to maintain the fire hydrants. So that was the communication I had with them. You guys are certainly, you can read this if you want, but that's what I wrote to them. I haven't heard anything back from
Any other parties?
Not yet. I mean, I talked directly to the ag mediator before I sent that email, but I basically said this. And I had talked to Bill Sheets with Swanton privately before anyway, and it's the position of the town hasn't changed. It's just we know that there technically would be liability insurance available to the town, but it wouldn't cover. I don't think it still doesn't make sense for the town to do this, and I don't. So I'm not sure what's going to happen next. But
the only thing I could think of is that they might want to know a dollar amount covered.
And I
Per se.
asked about that, and VLCT didn't really want to speculate about it. So I did ask them that, but They,
Like, would it cover $10,000 for whatever,
Mhm.
and that's
Yeah.
it? Or nothing?
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
you're talking about liability,
Right.
it's,
They want to
the
limit.
town
their
has
stuff.
liability insurance the town has a certain amount of liability coverage as it
Mhm.
is. And if it was to take on that, if it was to take on any responsibility of that line, that insurance that we already have would just kind of come into that. It would be an umbrella over that.
Right.
But
Yeah, but they want to limit their
Right.
out of pocket as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
realistically.
mean,
well, right, but the insurance company might want to know that you required some responsibility with it, you see? Then your rate on the liability insurance that you have, unless you purchased it specifically for that line, see?
mhm.
Yeah, so, but we've already decided that, I think pretty much that we're gonna stay out of it.
Yeah.
And, probably for good reason. And then if, like Matthew says here, if we were to compensate here the new owners or the people that are running the line for a little bit of water down on there for fire protection, I don't think fire truck shows up down that end of the town, and they use some of that water off that line, do I think they'll stop us? No. Probably not.
Shouldn't, no.
Yeah.
And if we wanted to donate a little money to the cause or something to that effect, I'm sure that's probably the best thing to do.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it was to, was it that to Rail? They need a hydrant there, right? They took it out.
He took it out, it's still sitting there on the side of the barn, I guess.
Yeah. And what was the reason for taking it out? You know?
It was taken out from the road because it was broke between the farm and the road. So they were gonna relocate it at the farm. Technically, probably that would have been,
I see.
which, with easy access to it.
You're right. We're gonna put it in the drive, it's not gonna be off the side of the road.
Correct. Correct.
Which, be less tampering with it, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Mhm.
Anyway, I mean, let's put it this way. The discussions I had with our insurance agent with VLCT was he was just kind of like, you shouldn't do it, the town shouldn't do this. And, he's like, we all know the situation here. And it's, he just said that this whole thing is like, it's a whole, you should have known better. If you get into this, it's gonna be a you should have known better. Because, and so that, I think that's why they didn't even want to speculate about the amounts or anything like that.
Well, number one thing is if you needed the water.
Right.
If you don't need the water, you don't need to go there.
Yeah.
That's all, that's why the other parties are interested in it, they need the water.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
if the town was in dire need of water, well, you would,
Yeah, it might be
You
a different
would-
situation.
that's right. You'd be very interested in maintaining or picking that up and treating the water and distributing it. But, no.
So, anyway, I'll see what comes of that, but I feel like
I think it's.
the town's discharged its duty and
I
we'll
think
see what
it
they
does.
do. So, that's that. Another, kind of older business here is, we still need to, the town is technically still the beneficiary of this opioid settlement we had discussed before. I don't have the hold of the figure, but I believe it's somewhere between $2,000 and $3,000. It's not a lot of money that the town will be getting, but I do have a list here of the uses that we can put that money to if we choose to. And I've highlighted I think the things that you have indicated you'd be most interested in would be either use with the first responders that we have in town or some sort of education program with the school. And so, there's a very long list of things you can use it for here, but those are two of the things. So just in on the largest categories of things, one would be, the core strategies would be including naloxone for or other FDA-approved drugs to reverse opioid overdoses. And one of the first uses is to expand training for first responders, schools, community support groups, and families to use those resources would be acceptable use. And then there's
Is there training programs for?
Well, it sounds like there is.
Narcan,
Well,
for, first responders and stuff?
Yeah.
It's probably something online that it's
Mhm.
very simple, very quick.
Yeah.
And I don't believe the medication is that expensive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like,
Mhm.
we don't need a stockpile that's gonna expire.
Yeah, so it includes, so just going through all the first responder things would be like funding and training for first responders to participate in pre-arrest diversion programs, post-overdose response teams, or similar strategies that connect at-risk individuals to behavioral health services and supports.
Does someone have to approve that, whatever, like,
So I think basically we need to report that we received, what money we received,
Yep.
and then if we designate the money so if the town went and just gave that money to the fire department, we'd have to prove that the fire
Yep.
department spent it on or if we gave it to AmCare or to the school or whoever, we just have to show that they spent the money on one of these approved uses is my understanding of how it works. There are ways that you can work with nonprofits or other community groups to, for, treatment or things like that. So it's not limited to just first responders in schools, but, so just looking at the other, first responder things here would be, increased availability and distribution of naloxone and other drugs that treat overdoses for first responders, overdose patients, and friends and family members, schools, community outreach workers, people being released from jail, or members of the general public. Training and education regarding to naloxone and other drugs that treat overdoses for first responders, overdose patients, families, schools, community support groups, and the general public. Enabling school nurses and other school staff to respond to opioid overdoses, public education related to emergency responses to overdoses, educating first responders on the existence and operation of immunity and Good Samaritan laws, and education of first responders regarding appropriate practices and precautions when dealing with fentanyl and other drugs. And then, you could extend to for first responders who have responded to opioid-related emergencies, if they have, PTSD or something from you could fund that. So it sounds like there's
You're gonna name somebody,
a
you're
number.
gonna name
I think it's,
wherever we donate or whatever we do with money, you have to.
we'll have to report how it was spent.
I think the
Yeah.
easiest thing to do is give it to the school, give it to the education.
Yeah, well, I can certainly I can reach out to the school board and see if there's an existing program or something
I
that they
can't
already,
believe that there's no.
that they do that we
Things
can
that-
fund, or, it's either that, or like I
A
said,
portion of that, or for the fire department, for any training?
we could do something with training, I'm just not sure what's available. I haven't looked into it personally.
That's- yeah.
Probably like the fire
Yeah.
department and the school.
yeah, okay, so I can reach out to the fire department and the school and see if there's either something that they're already doing that fits the bill here that they
Yeah.
can, fund, or something that's available,
even-
readily available.
Or
Yeah.
even AmCare, if they'd go to the
Right.
school and do training for the kids or
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, okay.
I think it'd be a good place for it.
How many dollars was it?
I think it's between $2,000 and $3,000. I think it's
Yeah.
just a little over $2,000. It's
That's
not a lot.
minimal amount of money.
Yeah,
See, we can
You
do
could do
it.
our expert up on some.
right. Okay, and as I mentioned before the meeting with two of you, there was a truck that was left here on the property, and I alerted the sheriff about it, and I'm not sure if it was towed or if the person came and got it or not, but anyway, it was,
They left the vehicle here?
yeah, over the weekend, so. There's a copy in the box there of the emails that I've been getting very regularly from the sheriff letting us know when they're patrolling. And they've basically been able to do 2 days a week, every week. And I've not seen the report from, or the monthly bill for that yet, but I assume we'll be getting it. And anyway, he's been very, very communicative about that. I met with the planning commission last week, and I think I mentioned this last time, there is a round opening right now for a municipal planning grant. There's actually going to be 2 rounds this year. Usually it's done in the fall, but for whatever reason it was postponed at the end of last year, so there's going to be one round here in the spring, and there'll be another one in the fall. And I talked with the planning commission has been most interested in sort of, they want to see through that, the bicycle pedestrian grant that they got down in the Springs. And actually I met with Nancy and and Sue Brooks and I met with Kyle Grenier on that, and we have sent out a proposal to a contractor, and we should be hearing back from them within 30 days. They indicated that they were interested in bidding on it, so it sounds like that grant will be moving along soon. Again, that's just a scoping grant for between the rail trail and the school, but that's most of the Safe Street issue down there in Sheldon Springs, and I think a lot of that is going to be, most of the danger there is on the state side of, and so it's not much that the town can do specifically other than discuss with the state how we can accommodate, whether there could be changes made to the speed limit there or the traffic signals or things like that. But in terms of this municipal planning grant, I think I'm most interested in is that with the way that the state is moving toward, the state is moving toward encouraging more development in villages, and the town having 2 village centers. We've just recently completed our town planning, but we do not have comprehensive planning for the village areas, and those are the areas where we have most of the issues that come up where we might need planning are going to be in one of those 2 places. So between the sewer system and the Springs needing kind of a plan for how that might get expanded or be replaced over time, and the water system in the Springs being the older part of the water system. So between water systems, wastewater, stormwater planning, and then safe street planning, all these sort of issues come together in these 2 places the most in terms of what. So St. Albans town, as it happens, just got this grant last year, and that is essentially what they're working on, is a program, a plan right now that has 4 goals. The first goal has to do with stormwater and wastewater management. The second goal is all about safe streets and traffic safety. And the third goal being a sustainable economy, which has to do with planning for housing and commercial development and parks and rec. So there's, again, issues that come up between Sheldon Springs and Sheldon Villages, or areas where we have park space, and where the state certainly wants to target housing expansion. And I at least personally would like to see more. I'd love to see commercial retail come back here in the village, and if we could get more in the Springs, that'd be great too. So anyway, I thought this this plan that St. Albans is working on might be an excellent model for us to do if we wanted to either pick one of the two villages and try to apply for a grant to deal with those issues, because then I'm hoping what we can get out of this is have a plan for asset management of the wastewater and water systems that can kind of go, and in the springs, we're kind of already working on that on the water system. We need to do it for the sewer system. We've already got the Safe Streets started with the grant program that we're working on now, but that can just be folded into a bigger plan. And then, like I said, we can work with the school in terms of planning for the, you know, the rec fields and the forest and the other park spaces that might be down there. So I thought this would be might be a good thing to work on. And then here in Sheldon Village, I believe if some time ago there was some sort of study done of possibly doing a wastewater system here in the village. It's not anything we don't need immediately, but if there is growth in the next, 10, 20 years, that might be something that is, its time may come eventually. And there's, again, the water system in the spring, in the creek has been updated more recently. So that's less of a concern than it is in the springs, but we could certainly do stormwater improvements. And again, the town has more assets in the village that it could be planning for as well, between the parkland and the buildings and the highway department. So I'm not sure that.
Is that what that is, though?
So this is, you can take a look at this, it's not very big, but this is, St. Albans is the planning for their village down there on St. Albans Bay.
Yeah, but you have.
Yeah,
Right.
so.
But that's a grant you can apply for?
Correct, yeah, so this is
The preliminary.
right, it's a municipal planning grant. We did get one of these grants a few years ago when they did the first grant they did on this Connecting Sheldon. But that was we got a smaller grant. I think Sheldon got about a $8,000 grant, I think, back then in 2020. This one is more like $30,000, but that's about a 10% match for the town, I think, so. Anyway, I think if that sounds like it's worthwhile to you and the planning commission agrees, I'll try to work with regional planning and get something together for either your next meeting or the first one in March, because the application is due at the end of March. So if we were gonna apply, and as I said, there's 2 rounds this year. So if we decide we don't want to do it now, we can always apply in the fall and try to do something then. But
And who does the work?
so I would work, because Sheldon's qualifies as a rural town, so Northwest Regional Planning
Would do the work?
would do, I would work with them, but
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
probably be the grant administrator, but they would help us with writing it and putting it together, because they're tasked with helping rural towns to prepare these sorts of things, so.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, but if you receive the 30,000,
Correct. Right.
after you get the grant,
Right.
then,
Right.
then regional planning does the,
We would probably work with them the same way we've worked with these other grants, where they would be the project manager, but then another firm would usually be hired to actually do the work. So VHB or one of the design
Yeah,
plan
okay.
firms would probably do the actual planning work.
what could be done,
But yeah,
and then how,
right.
et cetera.
Exactly, and what I'd really like, if we could, while we're doing that, as I said, it'd be good to, what I'd really like to get at the end of this is, if we can, is a mapped system for our stormwater and wastewater and water system, and a long-term plan for replacing those assets, so that we can, and then we can use that plan to create our water and sewer rates, because we'll have, in theory, every piece of pipe in those systems will be planned out for eventual replacement, and then you can give them all a present value in terms of how much you need to be setting aside to replace that pipe in 30 years or 40 years or whatever it is. And that can be figured into your base rate for how much you're charging your customers. So that's, I need to talk to regional planning about whether that can actually be delivered by this, but that's what I'd be most interested in having, because then the town could get to work on that.
Yeah.
And having done that, I feel like having done all that work, that will put us in a really good position for possibly getting more grants to actually build stuff, or we'd be in a better position to make use of the revolving loan programs the state has, and tax credit programs, et cetera, so. Okay, the planning commissions continue to work on the zoning bylaws. I think they'll probably have 1 or 2 more meetings and that should be done. As I mentioned, I think we may have a race for our town clerk position, so that could be good in terms of having participation at town meeting. I spoke with the person who may be interested in the moderator position, and I given her some resources to study up for that if she's interested in that. I did, after our last meeting, I put some information out on our social media and on our website about the various positions that are open, both for elected offices and then also for the appointed positions that we have to fill between the planning and development boards, and then also all of our regional boards that we participate, between solid waste and regional planning and the rail trail, et cetera, so not that I've heard any response from that, but I've seen there was a fair amount of people sharing that information on Facebook, so I'm hopeful that we can get. I've been encouraged to see that we have, some several younger members of the community stepping forward to, take an interest in things. So I'm hopeful that we can, that can keep going with the other things that we need to do. So, and that's it. Other than that, we should probably turn to the ethics policy, because I prepared I basically typed up the model ordinance with all the policy for Sheldon, if you want to look at that.
Okay. We're going to put this up on ordinance that we have to adopt.
Yes, I think, well, that is, so by law, the town's supposed to adopt some process for enforcing this code of ethics, and VLCT has recommended that you do it by ordinance based on the way the law is written, so.
You don't say.
Yeah. So I think they should be all the same. Yours is single page, Steve, so you can sign that one if you want. But in general, I kept the language that they use. I just changed, legislative body to select board, and anytime they mention, municipality to town or town of Sheldon. It's got the big long list of definitions there at the beginning, which is based on the law. But the further down in the enforcement section, or in the exactly what we're doing section, the designated complaint receiver is the select board as a body. So if complaints are made again about municipal officials, the select board would receive those for review, and it says that you will.
Where's this?
Excuse me. So it says that you will investigate those as they are received, and sort of lays out the action that you may or may not take, you may take if you think that
What are
action
we
needs
supposed
to
to
be
be looking
taken.
for? What are we supposed to be looking for?
So,
Give the definition.
so there is a copy of
Where are all the ethics?
there in the folder that Steve has a copy of the
is that-
state. The state has created the rules for what the ethics are. This policy, or this ordinance
This is how, this is the ordinance.
that's right.
You got all,
Right.
you got all the bad things you're not supposed to be doing. Huh?
They're
Right.
violated.
Yeah, but, I mean, they're all kind of the,
Cookie jar stuff and
right.
candy again.
The usual conflict of interest sorts of things. Now, as you'll notice in the enforcement categories in the ordinance, you are pretty limited in terms of what you can do. It's mostly just reprimand someone or more or less publicly. Because
Yeah.
an official,
Just
if it's an,
such
yeah.
as seemed appropriate. There.
Right. Obviously, you have more authority to deal with an appointed officer. You can remove an appointed officer, obviously.
Will not take place in situations where.
And an employee, you can deal with through the provisions of the employee personnel policy as well.
Tell the chairman,
So,
inform the municipal officer to discuss the this will not take place in situations where. Yeah. Oh, okay. We need to discuss the conversation. Execute session. Okay, that's pretty simple, I guess. Hmm.
So again, I mean, the state has made the rules with respect to ethics. If someone has a complaint, I've created a complaint form that someone can fill out about, and that if someone makes a complaint, then I would obviously put it on your agenda as the select board, as you're the body that would receive that. If some investigation needs to be done, you've designated me to be the liaison to the State Ethics Commission if we need support from them for that. The ordinance lays out what action you may take, and like I said, with respect to elected officers, you're pretty limited in what you can do, but with the appointed officers or employees, you are less limited in what you can do. So, and frankly, it's mostly all stuff that was in your conflict of interest policy that we had up until earlier, the end of last year. It's a lot of this.
Adversely affected. Immediately involuntary.
These training requirements, they're,
Correct. Yeah.
is that something that can be online?
Yeah, so the Secretary of State has kind of created a video that you can watch. I think it's about 15 minutes or half an hour or something like that. And my understanding is that basically watching that video will suffice for the training requirements. So, and you have until September 30th of this year to do that.
Well,
And
this
then-
video, we'll watch
So
it.
I can arrange to have that in here if you guys want sometime before or after a meeting or whatever, and then we can probably after our organizational meeting, if we have new members, that might might be a good time to do
Yeah.
it.
There you go.
Yeah, we'll probably just make that an annual thing, or I'm not sure. Yeah, I think it is a training that you're supposed to get. I forget, it's every year or every 3 years or something like that. Yeah, 3 years. Yeah.
Every 3 years
So-
after the initial training.
Right. So,
Okay.
um,
You wanna do this ordinance tonight?
if it's all right with you, that would be acceptable. That's what I would plan to do.
I have a motion to adopt this ordinance.
I don't think it'll hurt us.
I'll make a motion.
All right, second one.
Sure. Yep.
All in favor of adopting the ordinance?
Yeah. We're following right in line. You know?
Merchandise.
That's right. Which one are you gonna sign?
The one that Steve has.
They're all three are all the same.
Yeah, Steve's is only printed on one side, so it's easier to.
What's the personnel policy?
Oh, yeah.
I got the minutes here. We got them before I lose them. And this is the one we're starting.
So, I don't have something written up here, I just wanted to, talk about something, and I can have it written up for you for next time. So, we adopted, so I gotta apologize for a mistake I made on the, when we adopted the personnel policy, at the end of last year.
You in already?
When I had reached out to our town attorney to have him look it over, and he had made a comment that I didn't quite understand what he meant by it in it. So the goal of the select board had let me know about when we had hired we were hiring these new employees, was that on comp time, we wanted to have some changes in policies. One was that the employees were asking to convert comp time into additional paychecks, and the clerk was not happy with that arrangement. But also, there was some interest on the board of having an annual cap on the amount of comp time that you could bank, and then also having a policy where we would encourage the workers to use that comp time in the summer, so that at the beginning of the winter, they would be down to a certain level. So what Jim had reminded me of, and I just did not understand it from the way he pointed out, is that overtime rules as well as compensatory time off rules are set by the Federal Fair Labor Standards Act. And under the Fair Labor Standards Act, there is a federal cap of 240 hours for compensatory time off. So it's a thing where you don't have to offer comp time, but if you do offer it, the cap is 240 hours, and if it's for fire department and police, it's actually higher than, I think it's twice as high as that or something like that. But specifically for first responders, it's a higher level. So what Jim said, I'm not trying to throw Jim under the bus, but he didn't specifically say you can't do what you've written in your policy, but he said you can be more generous than the federal standards, but you can't be less generous than the federal standards. So I'm not sure, we had tried to set a cap of 110 hours on comp time. And like I said, I think that we are not allowed to do that. I think we have to have it be at 240 hours. And I'm not sure that I don't think that we can have a policy where we make people use that up by a certain time. I think it has to be 240 hours they can have up to 240 hours at any time, is my understanding under the federal law. So, that kind of puts a damper on the plans that we had.
Right, and I think
Yeah.
the cap of 240 is forever. Per
Correct.
se.
Right,
Like
yeah.
you could earn it this year and keep it for 10 years.
Correct, yeah, I think that's the way that
So you don't have to use it.
that's my understanding,
Right.
is that you can, now, I think that the town can continue to have a policy where you put it in comp time, it can't come out of it. You either take it, you have to take it as comp time, which is that was the other part of it, is that we wanted to have it so it wasn't being treated like a bank that you could
Right.
take money out of. Anyway, that is a addition we will probably have to make to it. I didn't know if, the other thing is, once we got into the budgetary discussion, I realized that I saw the wisdom of a suggestion that Steve had made, which is that perhaps instead of having vacation time, sick time, bereavement leave, for the other leave that we, personal leave, perhaps it might be wiser to have just a set amount of paid time off that can be used at the employee's discretion for any of those uses. So for example, if you gave somebody 80 hours of paid time off, they can use 40 of it for sick, they can use as much of it as they want for sick time or vacation. So that you could take 60 hours of vacation, but that means you'll only have 20 hours of sick time or something like that. It would be at their discretion, and so in that way, that might simplify planning for the budget process, just because we're not having to worry about all these different categories of paid time off. We just have a simpler policy. Now, anyway, that's just a suggestion that especially in light of the fact that we're gonna be talking about them having more comp time than we were planning on under the policy. I'm wondering if maybe we should have a simplified process on the paid time off, to go hand in hand with it, since especially if they have a year like this where they're gonna have quite a bit of overtime, they're gonna end up having paid time off through their comp time policy. Anyway, so I will have a written proposal for you for the next meeting or the one in March, if you'd rather, on those. But I just wanted to let you know about those changes, which, and again, I apologize that I just did not understand what our attorney was pointing out there at the time, so.
Well, you just have to go in the policy and fix it.
Right.
So,
Yep. Okay.
we'll do that when it's not as late at night.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry.
Yeah, very good.
My end, I think that's the end of your agenda, unless there's some other things you have questions about.
Motion to adjourn for the evening.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Yeah,
Second, huh?
sure.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.